Welcome. I'm Heather. Thanks so much for joining me for Relax and Renew Yoga. We'll use our practice to relieve stress and tension from the body and the mind, and so that you can connect back to that place of peacefulness and love and joy that exists within all of us. Oftentimes we are somewhere else. Our minds take us in all different directions, and they tend to be busier than calmer. So we use our practice to center ourselves, to calm the mind, so that we can come into the present, slowing things down. And in that space, when we come into the present and our breathing regulates, our body relaxes, our whole body can heal from whatever imbalance there may be anywhere in the body. So we use this time to activate deep healing wherever we need it. And that could be physically, but also emotionally and mentally as well. So if you'd like to join me in a lying down position to get started, we'll just take a few moments to rest on the back. And oftentimes that's an area that can get feeling uncomfortable or tense, rigid, stiff right through the back, the lower back. So if you can come onto your mat and make yourself comfortable. And you might need a cushion underneath your head. You might want to put something underneath your hips. So whatever you want to do just to make yourself feel comfortable here. Sometimes I'll put just a little something underneath my hips. Once you find yourself in a comfortable position, maybe you want to rock your head a few times from side to side. The neck and the shoulders and upper back are other places in the body that we tend to feel stress and strain in. So just take time to let your body adjust. As you lie down in your mat, you're also helping to align your spine all the way up through your neck. So just close the eyes if you'd like and start to transition your focus, bringing yourself into your body. And feeling your breath move through. If you'd like to, you can place your hands on your belly or even a little higher on your middle of your torso and just feel your breath move through. You may notice just by taking this time to become more still and peaceful that your breath will naturally become more balanced and rhythmic. I sense that the breath in is a bit longer, deeper. You might begin to notice that your breath out is also longer and slower. As you breathe, feel your breath opening through your torso, and not just the front of your torso, but also the sides and the back. And you can begin to help create more space for your breath. Notice how you can help your breath breathe you slower and steadier. You can notice what happens as you do that, what places are opening. And what places in your body release on your exhalation. Now, the longer we can make our exhalation, the more that will deepen the relaxation, the more it will balance out and soothe the nervous system. So that's why it's always nice to start with some slower, deeper breaths in, pause and hold your breath. And then to help facilitate a longer exhalation, breathe out through your mouth, making like you're trying to fog up a mirror, making a nice soft whispered ah sound. And we'll do that a couple more times. Take a breath in on your own time and pause and hold your breath as long as you would like to comfortably. Hold your breath and then exhale through your mouth with a ha. Your breath is a very powerful tool to help release whatever you no longer need to be carrying with you for the rest of the day. Whatever you've picked up today that you no longer need to focus on, you can just release with your breath. And this time, as you inhale, if you'd like to reach your arms slowly up over your head and stretch through your arms, reaching. As you exhale, release back down. And continue to flow here a few more times with your breath. Just be with your breath, be with your movement, slowing it down, following your own breath. The key here for whatever we're doing in our class is less is more. We're so used to maybe overdoing it or overriding our body's signals and cues to say it's time to rest. Sometimes we'll just push through that and fill our day with more than we need to. And now it's just time to slow that down, to create a new rhythm, a new pace. So we'll do one more breath like that. And this time, as you exhale, if you want to release your arms, and if you're on something, on a support, then if you want to slowly, you can push your feet down to lift your hip. If it's underneath your hips, lift up to remove that prop and slowly come back down. And so that we're flat on our mat now with our knees bent, we'll do a little bit of pelvic rocking. So we'll keep our legs steady and we'll just start to tilt the pelvis back and forth. When you're tilting your pelvis one way, the belly will lift, the lower back will lift. And when you're tilting in the opposite direction, your belly sinks in, the lower back sinks in too. And then we'll move with the breath as you exhale. That's when you're tilting your pelvis so that your belly comes in and lower back sinks down. And as you inhale, your belly opens and the lower back lifts. Keep the hips on the floor. We'll just continue flowing here with the breath a few more times, helping to loosen up the lower back and release any stiffness, and really help with finding that mobility in your lower back and spine. This time, as you inhale and lift and open the belly, exhale, press your feet down into the floor, and notice how that you might naturally want to lift your hips off the floor a little bit. And you might just lift, coming into the bridge pose. And as you exhale, roll down your spine. We'll do that a couple more times, starting with the pushing down of the feet into your mat to rise up. And as you exhale, roll down. Now, just remember to follow your own breath. I'm just suggesting, guiding you through these movements, but I'm not wanting you to match exactly what I'm doing or how I'm flowing here. This time, as you exhale, rolling down your spine, resting there, we'll bring the feet off the floor, knees in towards the chest. You can rock a little bit from side to side. Just for a nice little massage through your back. Feeling right through your lower back. You might start to circle your legs together in one direction. And it just works at massaging through your lower back. We'll go in the opposite direction. It helps to loosen up your hips. And this time, we're going to bring our knees back to center in towards the chest. And this time, start to circle your knees away from each other. So not together, in opposite directions. And you can place your hands on your knees to help support this movement. We'll come back to center and then move your legs in the opposite direction. So still circling away from each other, but now moving in the opposite direction. Really good for loosening up your hips and also through your lower back. At this time, we'll bring the knees back in towards each other. Hold on to the right leg and extend out through the left. So you can extend the left leg right out along the mat, toes pointing up. And with the right foot, start to circle the ankle. At the same time, come back to your breath, noticing the sound of your breath, the quality of it. We'll circle the foot in the opposite direction. And then you can release, and we'll release by bending the left knee, bringing that left foot to the floor, and then releasing the right foot to the floor. We'll bring the left leg in, left knee in, and slide the right leg out along your mat. Toes pointing out, pointing up. There's a little bit of a stretch in that right leg too. So you're pulling gently out with your heel. We'll circle the left foot and ankle. And just keep coming back to your breath. Moving your ankle rotations in the opposite direction. And then you can slowly release. And look, again, just bend your right knee, send your right foot to the floor, release your left foot to the floor. And just take one more big stretch over your head with your arms. You might want to stretch out through both legs this time. And point your toes in the opposite direction. For a full body stretch. And then we're going to prepare to come off the back. So if you want to bend your knees again, release your arms and slowly roll over to your side. When you're ready, you can bring yourself up to a seated position. You might want to grab any support that you have close to you. We're going to start in the butterfly position, and I'm just going to show you from the side so that you can see the alignment of my upper body. So I'm bringing the soles of my feet together and the knees wide apart. And this is a nice position just to open the hips and the inner thighs. You might want to sit on a little cushion or a block. That's totally up to you. If you find that it's hard for you to sit up straight and tall, add a little support underneath. And we'll sit here just for a moment. And we'll work on aligning through the back. So sitting up nice and tall. Reaching the crown of your head up to the sky. And then we're going to slowly, with that lengthening, we're not going to lose the lengthening. We're going to keep it as we come over. And as we come over the legs into a forward bend, bending right from your hips. You can always slide your feet out a little bit more. I like to do this one often. I like to really help calm and relax the mind. And it's really nice and soothing for the neck and the shoulders as well. I like to support my head. You might not have something right now that's appropriate. I just wanted to show you this so you know for another time. It's very soothing. This is an excellent thing to do if you have headaches. If you suffer from headaches or even migraines, this can be really helpful to support the head in any forward bend. Make sure we're releasing any tension in the jaw. Stay here as long as it's comfortable too. And then you can slowly start to come back up. And you can take your hands behind for a moment and open the front of the body. And lift the chest. Feel the opening through the front of your chest. And this really helps to align the spine. We're often kind of rolled forward with the shoulders and collapsed in the chest. This will help to counteract those effects. And then you can slowly release, come back to center. From here, let's widen both legs out into a V-like shape here. And again, we're going to find our alignment, the best posture in the upper body. You decide how wide you want your legs. If you find that it's uncomfortable, you can always slide them in a little bit. Taking a few breaths in and out here. And again, we're just going to gently come forward. If you'd like, and you have a prop, you can always reposition that prop to support your head. Works better on the sticky mat because it doesn't slide as much, but yeah, probably should have stayed sideways for this one. But just to give you an idea for what you can do to find that real calming effect and cooling effect on the mind and also on the upper body physically. Okay, you can realign your spine, start to come up and out, and we're just going to turn slightly over to one side and come over. Okay, and again, you want to keep that openness in your upper body. It's more important to keep that openness than to like collapse right over your leg. Think of lengthening rather than just folding. Okay, and then we'll come back to center and we'll switch to the other side. And sometimes we go too far, so we just need to realign, open the chest a little bit here, and then come over. And then we'll slowly release. And this time, reach both arms up to lengthen right through. And exhale one more time, straight over. And then release. We're going to come back to center, bring the legs out of that position and over to the side where we can come into a tabletop position. Come right down onto your elbows today. And we're going to come into the puppy pose to start. So this is where you're just keeping those knees a little further back to keep the hips lifted. You can drop the head and just be on those elbows and lower arms as you let your upper body sink. You can gently pull back a bit with your hips. Come back to your breathing and help your breath slow down. You might feel the breath more in your back, in your upper back. This time as you inhale, come forward. Just slide your left hand right behind your right elbow. Keep your left arm down. And then do the same thing and gently pull back with the hips to lengthen out along a little bit more along that right side. You can feel that. Again, focusing on the sound, the quality of your breath. A longer exhalation will help your body to release more deeply. And on your next inhale, come forward and we're going to switch. Bring the right hand behind the left elbow and gently pull back with the hips. And feel that stretch just a little bit more on the left side, right? Right from the elbow up to the shoulder, down through the torso to the hip. And this time as you inhale, come forward, walk your knees in a little bit more and come up onto your hands and knees. We'll begin the cat-cow. So as you exhale, you're arching your back. And as you inhale, you'll look forward. And just continue to flow here a few more times, following your breath. On the inhale, slowly looking forward. On the exhale, slowly lowering your head down and in towards your chest. Helping to move and breathe open your spine. This pose releases a lot of tension from the back. And it also creates more openness, more mobility in your spine. It gets the energy flowing through that central channel. Helping to remove any blockages along that central channel that runs from the root of the pelvis to the crown of the head. Energetically. So we'll do that 2 more times with breath. This time as you inhale, come back to center. And we're going to do thread the needle pose. So we'll come into a bit of a twist. So if you'd like to bring your left arm out to the side and then slide it over to the right, palm facing up. So you can, it's sliding right along the floor so you can come down with your shoulder and down onto the side of your head.
If you'd like to, you can slide the right arm forward. If that doesn't feel comfortable, you can just keep the right hand closer in towards you. Feel that stretch across your back. And feel your breath move through your body, inhaling, opening through your back. Exhale, releasing through your back. Carrying away any tension with it. And when you're ready, we'll plant down through the right hand to come back to center. And we'll do the same on the other side. So we'll bring the right arm out to the side and then we'll flow through to the left, palm facing up along the floor until you can comfortably come onto your right shoulder and right side of your head. And just notice for yourself, where do you feel this one the most? Is it too much? Do you need to adjust? How can you support your body to release? We'll stay here for 1 to 2 more breaths. The next time you inhale, plant your left hand, slowly come back up. And we'll do just a little bit of a stretch for the wrist. So if you'd like to, I also at the same time, and this is up to you, this is optional, if you would like to curl your toes under as well, or you can just come back or stay up a little bit more. We're going to bring our hands into an opposite position than we normally would. So palms facing forward, gently press the hands down. They might not want to come all the way down to your mat, but this just really helps to loosen up the wrists and relieve any tension there. If that doesn't feel comfortable to come down onto your mat like that, you can always come up and just use one hand to push the fingers back. Basically, it's the same stretch. So whichever is more suitable for yourself. Okay. And then if you'd like to come out of that one, and we're going to slowly transition. I'm just going to come sideways on my mat. You might want to too. We're going to stretch out through the left leg. And even before we do this pose, just a little bit more of a loosening up through the wrists. If you want to roll them out a few times. And then in the opposite direction. Okay, and then you can let go through your left hand, rest it on your left leg, and reach up and over with your right arm for a nice, lovely side stretch called the gate pose. Stay here in this place, breathing, opening through your side body. And then you can slowly release. And we'll switch sides if you want to bring your other leg in. And now, anytime you're on your knees, and just so that you know for next time, for now, you can always cushion your knees a little bit with your mat, okay? If you need a little bit more support, if you start to feel your knees get a bit achy or tender, you can always support your knees with anything. Come into this pose on the other side. Softening through the jaw. Feeling that stretch right through your side, through the front, the side, and the back. And breath. I'll stay here for one more. And then you can slowly release. And let go through that leg. We're going to curl the toes under to come into a standing position. If you want to transition to standing right now, feel free to go for it. If you want to stay in this pose, a squat for a few breaths. Okay, and then coming up, rooting down through your feet, coming halfway or 3/4 of the way up through your upper body. And then really bending your knees a little bit more and rooting down in order to stand up. And as you stand up, just start to reach through your arms. And on your next breath, then release your arms and come into your forward bend. Let your head go. Let your arms hang. We'll be here for another minute if you need to. Bend your knees quite a bit. And then bend your knees, plant your feet, and slowly roll back up, reaching through your arms. Again, stretching. Got my hands together, index fingers pointing up. And then I'm just going to bring my palms down. Okay, staying in the mountain pose for a few breaths. Just for an opportunity to align your body to the best you can, standing up straight and tall, balancing the weight down through the legs and feet. And let's bring those hands down and together. And then pull them out, straight out in front of you. Reach them up above your head and start to go backwards in a circling motion, coming apart with your arms and coming back together in front. This time we'll go in the opposite direction. So circling the arms up. You can do that on your inhale as you exhale, flowing down in front. And we'll do that about 2 or 3 more times. Again, with breath. We'll do that one more time. Okay, we can also deepen that same kind of movement with a belt. So if you have a belt close to you, something you can use, we're going to do a very similar movement, this time having our hands positioned on the belt. And as you inhale, you're going to lift the arms up. And as you exhale, come back. Now, if you need to bend one elbow to come back, try to slide your hands apart a little bit more. And maybe you don't make it all the way back or all the way down. And come back up and lift and release in front again. And just keep trying that with your breath a few more times. You can inhale up, exhale, or see how far down your arms want to come. And you can do that a few more times. Again, you're following your own breath. Make sure it doesn't hurt your shoulders. You can always bend your elbows a little bit if that helps. And again, don't force it. Don't push through any movement if your body is resisting it, okay? And sometimes when we're doing that, I also like to come into it and then just hold it at the place that I can feel the most stretch. I might slide my hands apart a little bit more. And if I like that, it feels good to open there, just holding that for a few breaths. And then you can release. And you can come up again and let go. Might bring my hands a little bit closer together and try it again. And this time, if you want to inhale, bring your arms up. I'm going to keep the right arm up and I'm going to let go through the left arm, but I'm also at the same time going to pull back. And with this right arm, I'm reaching up at the same time, okay? So arms in opposite directions in a diagonal position. And then I'll realign and recenter, and I'll do the same on the opposite side. Push back or pull back with that back arm, lift up with the upper arm. And then slowly release. As you let go of that now, just relax your shoulders a bit, and you can even shrug them a few times, roll them a few times to just see if that helped to loosen up through there at all. It's really nice to loosen up the upper back. Well, it's nice to open any part of the body that's tense and tight, but very, very noticeable, I find, when it's in the upper back, or maybe that's just where I kind of hold the most tension in my body. So let's now just reach the arms out to the sides and a little bit back. So, and then pulling the arms forward, I'm going to come with the right arm over top, like I'm giving myself a hug in preparation for the eagle pose, which will really help that upper back. So if we're still got a bit of tension, let's try this one. We're going to curl the arms around each other. So I'm going to curl the left arm around the right and keep those right fingers pointing up. You can release the elbows a little bit here, let them drop down. Release the shoulders too. And then just lift. Once you feel that let go, then lift the elbows a little bit. And notice where you feel that the most. We'll take a few breaths here. Sometimes we come into this almost the eagle, but not quite. It is a position where we twist everything around each other, arms and legs, but we won't do the full pose just yet today. We'll just try this version of like the chair. And then sometimes when I'm in it too, I'll keep my arms in that position and just come down with the upper body in a forward bend. Release the arms. As I inhale, let the arms float up like wings. And on the exhale, release. And let go of that. And just take a moment to feel any effects of doing that pose. We'll come out with the arms again, this time to do the opposite. So we're going to bring the left arm over top, right arm underneath. And then bringing the arms together, twisting and winding as best as you can. It's okay if your arms don't look just like my arms. Just do your best in order to feel what we're trying to feel in the upper back. You can come into that chair version where you're bending the knees, hips coming down. Find a focal point to focus on, to help focus the mind, to focus and calm the mind. And then you can slowly sink forward. Release the arms. Let them hang heavy and then just let them float up and out and over your head. And then let go of that. Take a moment to feel through your upper body. And noticing if that helped to release any tension or tightness there. Okay, for the next one, I think we'll use maybe a little bit of support. So if you're close to a wall, I'm just gonna, I don't know if you can see my hands right there on the wall. And you might not need it, but we are gonna do this pose where we bring our foot back and hold on to it. As well, some people find it just a little bit easier to hold that pose with the use of a belt. So belting around your foot, reaching as far as you can towards your foot and just getting hand on the wall to find your stability. Once you have it, you could even remove that arm and reach it up and out in front of you. Find a focal point again. Focusing the mind, you'll
you'll find balance in your body. I'll just stay here for a few more breaths. If you want to go deeper in this one, you can reach your foot back, reach your arm forward, but that's, maybe a lot for right now. So you could be still at the wall here, finding your balance, and that's okay. That's where we begin. We all have to start somewhere, right? And just continue to build on what we can do and what we can there's always somewhere else to go, but we don't rush to get to our destination. Every pose is like a journey, right? And an art form where everybody looks different, right? And it's very unique. And I think it's when we come into those poses, it's like art. So honor yourself wherever you are. We'll come back into mountain pose, Tadasana here. And again, just find your sense of stability and balance in both legs, bending and straightening your legs a few times, back and forth. Breathing here, breathing in, bending your knees, breathing out, planting down through your feet. Find that stability right through the core of your legs, right at your bones, right? As you shift and move through. Come right to the bottom of your feet. Grounding our energy down. So we don't have so much energy in the mind. Typically, most of our energy is hyper active in the mind, and it's in yoga, we pull that energy down into the body to find that harmony within ourselves, to find balance. We'll try to find balance here now in this pose. It's called the dancer's pose. Again, start off wherever you are, right? Just get yourself steady here. Use the belt if you need. If you want to come a little bit more into it, you start to bend. I'm bending from the hip again. You might try taking your arm off the wall and reaching through. And breath. And picture yourself as this beautiful. You're not a solid, or you're not a, what's that word where you don't move? You're not static in this. You're dynamic, right? So you could be shifting and moving and falling out of your pose and coming back. And that's part of it. And smiling. Because it's enjoyable. That pose can invoke a lot of, I find it invokes a bit of joy into my practice. There's certain poses that are very uplifting too, as well as grounding. They're uplifting. We always take time to come back to center for a moment, and especially when we worked on each side individually, it's good to bring your palms together, recentering yourself within. This time, let's widen those feet apart. Find a stance here where you can reach up through your arms. And on your exhalation, let's sink down into a forward bend. Just let go through your head. Breathing here. When I inhale, I might come up a little bit. My upper body might start to come up. And then when I exhale, come down a little bit more. You don't have to hold your body still in every pose. You can flow a little bit. Find ways to flow. Especially when your body's tight. We're just gonna walk our hands over now towards the left side, and we'll reposition our legs so that we're coming into a lunge. So I'm left knee bent. I'm gonna drop down through that right leg and pause there for a few breaths.
can be a fairly deep hip opener. If you'd like to, you can use those props and come a little bit higher up. Okay, and then we're going to come back. And this is a nice pose to try those props. I'm just going to see if I can, or see if you can send your left foot straight out now, straight out in front of the hip, and lift your toes up and come over this leg. Okay, just find this position. I know this can be a real tricky one, and it's a deep hip hamstring stretch. So just do your best, do whatever feels right for you. Soften your knee. If you don't have blocks and you don't want to go right down to the floor with your hands, you could try to balance with your hands on your thigh. It might be a little tricky, but you can also come over with your, and slide forward with your hands and come down. And then we'll come back into the lunge. You can bring your foot back and come back into that first starting position here. This time, come right onto your back foot. Then we'll go back to our wide-legged forward bend. We'll bring our blocks to the other side if you have, and just recenter, realign yourself forward with, and then as you exhale, come down. And then from here, walk your hands over to the other side. Maybe it's the right foot this time. Drop down onto your back knee, come into that lunge. And use your blocks if you'd like to. You decide how far you go into the suit. If it doesn't feel right, slide your hips back a little bit. If you want to go a little bit deeper, drop your hips down. And just breathe here. And then coming back up, we'll balance. It's a little bit of a balancing game here. So send out your right leg straight out in front of you. Make sure not to hyperextend the knees. Keep it slightly bent. And then you can come over this leg. You're hinging forward from the hip, pulling this right hip back, coming over your leg. You can see that, right? Find your position, right? That's the, I don't want to say that's the challenge, but that's the where you're at. That's how you're trying to find your place. And you won't know your place until you give yourself a little bit of permission to adjust, to realign, to come out, to go in. And again, especially in this style of class, remember, less is more. We're not trying to overdo it. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves of that. And sometimes at the end, right before you come out of a pose, you notice that you can go a little bit deeper. Or sometimes you notice your body saying, that's enough. Come back into that lunge pose now. And this time to come up onto your back foot. We'll recenter ourselves, walk your feet or slide your feet forward again, come in between your legs with your body and arms, and plant your feet down. Bend your knees and slowly rise up, reaching through your arms. And this time as you exhale, just release. We're going to bring the arms right behind. See if you can interlace your fingers together.
Okay, and reach through your arms. You can bring your feet, maybe you want to have them a little bit closer together, wherever makes you feel stable and steady. And then again, we'll come over, maybe this time as we come over just halfway, and to reach the arms up. Breathing here. And then you can slowly release. Release those arms, release the shoulders. Whew, that might have done it. In a good way. Helps. That's a really good one to open the shoulders, as long as you're respecting your limits, right? And doing this pose, again, you can try it again if you'd like to, just in a way that you're not pulling too much on the arms. You're actually, even though my arms are lifting up, I want to let go of the front of the shoulders a little bit, let them drop down. And when you're ready, you can slowly release up or come up. Release your arms. Maybe that helped to unlock some of that tightness there. And I'm just going to do one more thing, and this is a bit of a twist. If you want to use blocks or a chair even, bring your left hand down and bring your right hand to your lower back. Now, if you want to go deeper with this, you can reach your left hand onto the outside of your right leg. Just try to keep your hips neutral. They don't move into the twist. You keep them centered. And for some, you might even reach that arm up, the right arm straight up above your body there. We'll stay here for one more breath. And then we'll slowly release and let go. And take the arms straight up. And with your exhalation, come over and just do your twist however it feels good. Some people like to use a chair, being a little bit more upright. They can twist their back a little bit easier because they're keeping that alignment in the spine. And if it feels good to sink down a little bit more, to slide the hand to the outside of that leg, you can try that. Then you can reach the arm up. And then we'll slowly release. Inhale to come up. And exhale to let go. And slide the feet right in underneath the hips. Stand up nice and tall. And just realigning my body and noticing how it feels as I stand here right through. Oftentimes for a lot of people, again, we tend to slouch, right? So really focus on opening the chest and rolling the shoulders back. It might feel unnatural when you first start doing this to keep this that much open and lifted, but it's just because it's a little foreign to your body. It'll take a little bit of time. Sometimes it's helpful to stand like this with your palms forward to roll your shoulders back. It allows for more joy in the body too. You might sense you get feeling a little bit lighter when your shoulders are open, a little bit happier. And there's actually endorphins that flow through our upper body here when we're open, or some happy hormones. So it scientifically, it works well. Also to keep our body aligned and open, or hormonally speaking. Let's come back down onto the back now. We'll move down slowly. And just have anything you need for Shavasana and have your belt close to you too, okay? I might grab my bolster too. If you have a blanket, feel free to use it. And my pillow. And again, we'll start with the knees bent and the feet on the floor. Just feel your back into the mat now. Rock your head a bit from side to side. Plant your feet down, lift your hips up and roll up into the bridge. This time, holding it for a few breaths. So I like to support in the restorative version. We use support. So if you have something you can put underneath your hips, it's really nice. If you don't, that's okay. You can hold it for a few breaths and then release, come back down. But if you have something to slide underneath your hips there, it's really nice just to rest in this pose. So I'm just taking a rest in it. There's not a lot of activation here. My muscles are softening. And there's breath, and it's an inversion. So it's very beneficial for my body to do this as it inverts the blood flow. Help me soothe the heart and the mind. You can wiggle your head a bit from side to side. And just breathe. We'll stay here for about 3 to 4, maybe even 5 more breaths. Just being here in this pose, resting. If you don't have the support, then feel free to come down, rest, and then roll back up. When you're ready, if you're in the supported version, come out just if you're using blocks, block at a time. Always push your feet down before you lift your hips up and then roll down. This time, rocking your legs slowly from side to side. You can take your arms out to the side. And you can have your feet as wide apart as you'd like for this one. Keep both shoulders down. And you can also turn your head in the opposite direction. Whatever way your legs are going, you can turn your head the opposite way. And again, just flow through here. You might start to drop your legs down a little bit more and get a sense that you'd like to hold their legs to one side. And anytime you feel like that, just pause there for a few breaths. In our side lying twist, reach out through the arms, especially the arm on the opposite side. Keep that shoulder down. Turn your head in that direction. I'll stay here if you're in the pose and you're just holding it, enjoying it, pausing here to one side. We'll be here for just a couple more breaths.
Sometimes I'll stretch out through my top leg a little bit. Just extend it out to the sides. I can hold on to it with my hand. And you can release that and come back to center. And reach your other arm a little bit more out to the side. Drop your knees to the side. You can use your hand, whatever direction your legs are going, your hand on that side can drop your top leg down a little bit more. Some people like to put blocks in between their knees because that helps them to release a little bit more through the hips. You can always also try that. Block or cushion between the legs. You can close your eyes and just let your body sink and melt into this pose. It's a wonderful position to calm and soothe the nervous system. Really nice to do at the end of the day. We'll be here for about 2-3 more breaths. If you want to extend your leg out, like I showed you on the other side, you can try that for the last breath or two. And then you can slowly come back to center. And realigning your body. So to help find that alignment, central alignment through your spine, it helps to come back to the bridge. With your knees bent, planting your feet, lifting your hips up, rolling up your back, and then back down. It's also kind of nice to do that knees to chest too. That is also a really nice one to help align and release the back. If you'd like to, from knees to the chest, see if you can widen your knees apart and reach your arms to grasp hold of either your legs, your ankles, or you can wrap the first 2 fingers around your big toes and come into what's called the happy baby pose. The legs go wider, knees wider, knees bent, and feet facing the ceiling, the bottom of the feet facing up. Bend your knees in and open here through your legs. Feel that stretch in your back and your hips. And sometimes from this pose, I'll bring my legs, I'll release the hold on my feet. Just hold on to the back of the legs as I straighten the legs up in the air. Holding that for a few breaths. You can always bend your knees in towards your chest if you get tired in that position. And then we'll do one more pose before relaxation. And this is a good one always. This is that you drop your left foot down and bring your right ankle, the outside of your ankle, to the front of your left thigh. And gently press on your inner right thigh for a moment. Sometimes that's enough, or you can slide your hands behind your left knee and bring your left foot off the floor. Bring your legs in towards your chest. Sometimes I'll lift that left leg up, lifting through the heel, dropping the toes.
Sometimes I'll do just a little rocking too from side to side. Reposition your leg and then release. And lift your right leg up for a moment and just bend and straighten, holding on to the back of the leg, just bending and straightening. Holding it here for a breath or two. If you want to, if you got a belt handy, you can always loop it around this right foot and hold it there for a few breaths. And then you can release, let go of the right leg, bring the left leg in and slide the ankle onto the front of the right thigh. And gently press into that leg with your left hand, creating some space in the hip there. And then you can bring, if you'd like, bring your hands behind the right knee and bring those legs in towards your chest. Come back to your breath. The breath is the anchor to the present moment. It's the anchor, it's the link between the body and the mind. And you can, if you can focus on your breath in each pose, you will stay connected. From here, let's lift that right leg up and hold that pose. We're still left ankle to the thigh. And then you can release and let go through the right foot, bring it down, left leg, bring it up and just bend and straighten. And you might want to place the belt on it if you've got one handy and hold your leg steady here. Find a good place where you can feel a stretch, but it's not too much. You might need to lower your leg down a bit. You're straightening your knee, but not locking it back into place. So there's still some a slight bend to your knee. And slowing down the breath. We'll stay here for one more breath. And then you can start to release that leg. Take the belt off. And sometimes when I come out of that pose, I feel like coming into the reclined butterfly pose. So bringing the soles of the feet together, knees go wide. That may or may not be comfortable. If you have support, it's really nice to use something underneath the legs, and then it becomes a very relaxing restorative position. No effort required to hold it. So whatever you prefer here. If you have something to place over your eyes, this would be a good time to do it. Getting ready for our Shavasana. You can cover up with a blanket. Settle in here for Not sleep. Sometimes you fall asleep, and that's okay too, but this is more of a rejuvenation, a conscious relaxation for a few moments. We've set the stage for our body to be really open and relaxed. And now we're just going to enjoy this relaxation and notice how our body feels when it's that relaxed. Okay? I know it's not perfect. You might still have some areas of tension and pain even, but I'm sure there's some places where you feel a release, right? Hopefully feeling a bit different than when we began. So just settle in here. Support anywhere that you need to support. If you want to put a pillow underneath your head, again, if you want to cover up with a blanket, I find it very soothing for the eyes to cover them up, resting an eye bag there. It also, putting something over the eyes helps to keep me inward on a deeper level. Relaxing through the legs and feet. Just let your legs release, let them go comfortably heavy. No effort in the legs, softening everywhere. Feeling the hips and just noticing if the hips feel a bit more open from the inside. From the hips, come up through the belly, softening there. Feel up through the torso, feel the breath move through your body like a wave, rising and falling. Receiving and releasing. A fresh wave comes into the body, bringing in energy and nourishment. And that wave moves out of the body, releasing whatever you don't need anymore, calming and cooling the body. Feel the back release, the shoulders comfortably heavy, they settle down into your mat. The arms comfortably heavy, hands soften. My breath breathes me now. I am being breathed by my breath. And moving up through your throat to your neck, your jaw, release, teeth apart. Soften all the muscles in your face. Let the weight of your head sink down. Sweeping down the back of your body from the back of your head through the back of your shoulders, down the back, through the back of the hips, down the legs to the back of the feet. And feel the back of your body rooting down, sinking down. Feel the front of your body opening as wide open as the sky. Expanding your energy beyond the limit of your physical body. You can feel like your energy goes beyond. And for these next few moments, there's nothing else you need to do. Release all your efforting. Release all your expectations. And let yourself be. Holding space for yourself in the stillness. Anytime you sense you're ready to come out, you can gently just rock your head from side to side or wiggle your toes, your fingers. Deepen your breath. Take your time. There's no need to rush. Stay as long as you'd like. Come out when you're ready. It's nice when you're ready to come out of the Shavasana to roll over onto your side first. And it helps you to gently bring your body out. See, when you're ready to come up, you can use your arms to support you to sitting, especially when your back is that relaxed. You want to just keep it relaxed. It's good to spend just when you come out of your Shavasana, whenever that is, you can just come back to a seated position for a few breaths and you'll be able to get a better sense of how you're feeling now and allows you to set that that new pace of movement. We're not going to jump out of our Shavasana, especially in the evening. Keeping going with this slower pace and You might even be ready for bed. So and bring your hands to your heart. I always like to take a few moments for gratitude at the end of my practice, and especially at the end of the day, going over everything or even just a few things that we have in our lives that we often overlook and take for granted, so we can help to, realize the abundance that we have and the truth. Very thankful to have a roof over my head, a nice warm bed to sleep in tonight. And I'd like to thank you now. Thank you so much for practicing and for joining me in this practice. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. But have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you again soon. Namaste.